Horoscope for May 14th, 2021. Like this video and write a comment before watching. It helps create new videos every day. Aries. With Jupiter beginning its 4-month retrograde cycle today. Dear Aries, it makes sense to pace yourself or tone down areas where you've been overdoing. It's a good period for editing and refining current projects and for finding rewards in old ventures. Someday emphasis of ambitious plans gives you the chance to pay more attention to your personal life until September 12th. It's a better time for reaping the rewards of recent successes and focusing your energy on those projects already in progress rather than taking on new ventures. Today, a Sun-Pluto aspect can motivate you to take charge and make improvements, particularly of your finances or personal possessions. You stand to gain some fascinating insight into people and projects. Any consulting or counseling efforts can be particularly fruitful now. Taurus. Jupiter begins its yearly 4-month retrograde cycle today. Dear Taurus, and this period runs until September 12th. You might experience some initial and natural waning of enthusiasm if you've been overdoing certain pursuits. But it's only until you adjust to this inward-turning Jupiter energy. Once you do, you'll recognize this period as strong for understanding what truly motivates and enthuses you. Some of the faith you've been nurturing may seem to drop away, but only just enough for you to see your plans in a different, more realistic light. You might choose to return to old studies and projects, and this can be to your benefit. It's better to pace yourself now. Today's transits help boost your confidence. It's an excellent time to gain backers or supporters, and incredible energy is with you for enjoying your relationships or for working on resolving problems and making positive changes. You're in an excellent position for self-renewal through activities that feed your spirit. There may be good news or recognition now. Ideas are golden, let them develop slowly this week. Gemini. Jupiter has been transiting your intimacy sector since December, and today turns retrograde for 4 months. Dear Gemini, this cycle may involve redirecting some of your energies away from a partnership or a strong focus on others. Or there may be the need to slow down or moderate shared finances or debts. If you've been overspending or overborrowing, or otherwise too dependent on others for your happiness, then this is a time for bringing things back into balance. Recognize that there is a time for pushing things forward and for riding the wash, observing and reflecting. And until September 12th, it's the latter. Returning to old projects can be successful. Today's transits help you gain a better understanding of your inner workings, needs, and desires. Supporting others lifts your spirits, and energies facilitates self-honesty and heightened perception. If you need to quit a bad habit, this can be a time for gaining the motivation and gumption to do so. You may be sharing special news or information with others and enjoying the process. Cancer. Jupiter begins its yearly 4-month retrograde cycle today. Dear Cancer, and this transit affects your partnerships and negotiations. In these areas, you may be looking back before moving forward until September 12th. It's a period for taking a more realistic look at current projects and for developing what's already in development rather than expanding or taking on more. If you've been going hard with supporting others and now need some independence, consider gentle ways of getting to the right balance. You may be returning to old connections, work projects, or health programs. Or you could be working on building and improving current ones with much success. Today's transits tend to boost you up either socially or materially. Your talents may be put to good use now, and others are likely to see your value more than usual. You might gain new insight into your finances. You may get the chance to bond with someone important to you, possibly through honest conversation or a commitment to make positive changes. Leo. Jupiter begins its yearly 4-month retrograde cycle today. Dear Leo, and this turnaround occurs in your work and health sector. Until September 12th, your enthusiasm for work projects and health endeavors continues. But you may begin to see areas of excess that require toning down and adjusting. This cycle helps you pace yourself and gain perspective. While it can be discouraging at first, it's good, in fact, for practicing some moderation. It can be a good time for doing editing work, review, and research. It comes as a signal that it's better not to expand or take on more. Focusing on what you've already begun is likely to be more successful during this period. With today's transits, you'll find others are putting more faith in you. And more importantly, you're feeling stronger. You might receive a boost or help from a higher-up or an associate. Quick fixes are not what you're seeking now, as you want to go deep. Conversations are useful and empowering today. Virgo. Jupiter begins its yearly 4-month retrograde today. Dear Virgo, pointing to the need to moderate yourself. It's especially relevant if you've been expanding too big or paying too much attention to romance, emotional drama, or solo creative projects to the detriment of other life departments. Some detachment can be healthy, and some de-emphasis of the pursuit of pleasures and entertainment can be practical now. Besides, it can be a good time for finding something lost or reviving old projects or hobbies. There are times to expand and times to pace yourself, and the latter is likely to apply during this cycle that lasts until September 12th. Other transits today favor self-expression, promotion, love, and creative projects. People in your life can shift your perspective in eye-opening, helpful ways. Or a movie, book, news, or cultural experience could lead to a new interest. You may be embracing a different philosophy or coming to an interesting take on a matter that's enlightening. Libra. Jupiter's transit of your home and family sector continues until December. Dear Libra, and this can bring rewards and benefits to your personal life. Today, Jupiter begins its yearly 4-month retrograde cycle, and it's a natural time for slowing down and pacing yourself. This period is excellent for balancing out recent excess or extravagance. Although it may feel slightly deflating at first, treat delays as opportunities to make necessary tweaks, rather than taking on more projects or expanding. It makes more sense to attend to those already on the go, particularly related to studies, home life, and family. Despite the possible disorientation of the shift itself today, you are likely to feel quite strong with current transits that encourage you to read between the lines, find a solution to a problem, or to enjoy support. Financial matters can thrive today, and it's a strong time for gaining the motivation to put a challenge or an unhealthy habit behind you. You're in the mood to make deep rather than cosmetic changes, and it's a beautiful time for making plans to improve your personal life. People appreciate your advice, opinion, and mind right now. Scorpio. Venus turns retrograde today and will continue its retrograde until June 25th. Dear Scorpio, it's time to review the past and slow down a little in certain areas of your life. Finances, intimate relationships, and partnerships can be areas of your life most affected by this retrograde, since Venus connects with these areas of life. This cycle can be about playing catch-up with your feelings, needs, wants, and values. It's not an ideal time for making firm decisions, but rather for considering problems from different angles and perspectives and gradually coming to new conclusions. You may very well discover that something you've been gunning for may no longer be up your alley. Or you could revive something from the past that now seems viable again. Reassessing relationship and intimacy needs can figure strongly. Finances, particularly related to debts or taxes, may need a closer look. If you're waiting for money or a relationship, you could discover new ways to cope that truly benefit you in the process. Also starting today, action-oriented Mars brings dynamic energy to your romance and pleasure sector, and will continue to do so until June 27th, ensuring that life will not be dull. This transit helps boost your initiative and courage, although it's important to note that some warmth may be missing in your approach to relationships at times. Sagittarius. Venus begins its retrograde cycle today. Dear Sagittarius, and will remain in this apparent backward motion until June 25th. This period is about getting in better touch with your feelings, sensibilities, tastes, and values. You get the chance to catch up with those matters that you've overlooked, brushed aside, or were too busy to address. You may be looking at partnerships, relationships, or your social life in new ways. Questions of whether you are enjoying yourself can be called up now. Get in touch with what and who truly matters to you. This is not a process that you should rush. And, fortunately, you have some weeks ahead to figure it all out. It's time to review the past and to avoid making important, life-changing decisions until you've digested everything. Also today, Mars enters your home and family sector for a stay until June 27th. This influence brings a lot of energy to your domestic life, possibly too much. At times, used well, you can get a whole lot accomplished around the home. And you can be more assertive and forthright with family members. If under strain, there can be some argumentativeness or tension. Capricorn, Venus begins its 6-week retrograde cycle today. Dear Capricorn, turning your attention to the past as well as to some of your unacknowledged inner needs, wants, and desires. Some of you could be experimenting with your social or love life during this period. Work matters might be on the tricky side with Venus retrograde in our work and health sector. You may be waiting for an answer, or review of health programs or work projects may be necessary now, particularly regarding your enjoyment factor. You may be seeking ways to derive more enjoyment and pleasure from your daily life. Use this time to get in better touch with your feelings and values. You are given a chance to catch up with those matters that you've overlooked or brushed aside. You may be looking at your work, health, reputation, and daily routines in a different light. Questions of whether you are enjoying yourself enough can be called up now. Also today, Mars enters your communication sector. And until June 27th, you'll have a lot more energy for personal interests. You may come across a little abruptly or impatiently at times, but you have a lot going on and much to keep you busy and engaged. Aquarius, Venus turns retrograde today and will remain this way until June 25th. Dear Aquarius, as Venus retraces its step through your solar 5th house, you'll be looking at creative projects, romantic matters, relationships with your children, pleasure, entertainment, or hobbies in new ways. This process is not necessarily about putting creative ideas on hold. It's more likely that you're refining them before pushing forward. And this can also be the case for romantic relationships. Past relationships may be in focus, or you can feel a bit hung up on someone emotionally. You may be doing a waiting game, and you could feel in limbo at times during this cycle. Although this can ultimately lead to new approaches that truly work for you. A current romantic interest may be difficult to read. You may discover that you have been undervaluing or overvaluing someone during this cycle. And whatever insight you gain now can be very useful to you going forward. Backwards-looking energy is with you on a romantic or creative level. And it's a period of fateful events and encounters, while reminiscing is just fine and, in fact, helpful right now. Try not to get stuck there. Instead, aim to sort out what truly matters to you. This is also a brilliant period for finding new or renewed ways to enjoy yourself through hobbies or entertainment that better suits you at this point in your life. Also today, Mars leaves your sign and enters your resources sector for a 6-week stay. You benefit from focusing on building a project during this cycle. Pisces, Mercury is now transiting your home and family sector. Dear Pisces, while it's not the most expressive or communicative of times in the Mercury cycle, it's a good period for sorting out problems around the home and for opening up the lines of communication with loved ones. Today, Mercury forms a harmonious aspect with Saturn, spotlighting common sense and a desire for a plan or strategy. It's a good time for organizing the home or for doing something productive behind the scenes. Focusing on what you can do to improve your personal life can be soothing and empowering. There can be a positive show of support through good advice or reliability. It's a great time to put finishing touches on a special project or for doing editing work. You feel better if you meet your responsibilities. You might also feel especially emotionally equipped to face issues that you would usually prefer to avoid or put off. Domestic matters benefit from a practical approach.